Hey everybody, welcome back to the Watch of the Month Club. My name's Dave, the channel is Just the Watch, and this is a channel about budget watch collecting, so I do watch reviews and topics about watch collecting on a budget. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, definitely ask you to subscribe, help me out. But today we're going to be doing our monthly Watch of the Month Club. And this is a segment that I like to do every month where I take a look at a particular kind of watch and try and find the best watches in that category under $200. So we're going to be looking at 10 different watches today, and of those 10, 2 are going to make our recommendation this month. So I always do a bronze recommendation and a silver recommendation. The bronze will always be $60 or less, and the silver will always be $120 or less. And the idea is that this is meant to be kind of a replacement for a subscription service. So rather than you sending in a set amount of money every month and getting a random watch from a subscription service, if you really want to watch every month, you can kind of budget either $60 a month or $120 a month. Watch the video, and if you like the watch, go ahead and purchase it. I have links to all of the watches down below. And if you don't like it, you can skip it or look at some of the other watches that we'll be looking at. I always have a long list of honorable mentions. This month, we're going to be taking a look at GMT watches, so I'm excited about that. But one of the things that I like to do on the channel is always get some suggestions for next month's category. So next month, we're going to be looking at square watches or square-ish watches, so rectangle, square, barrel-shaped. Any of these, kind of, not round watches, but more square ones. That's an interesting category. I've been wanting to get a square watch myself, so I'm kind of curious to see what we come up with as well. So if you know of any good square watches under $200 or square-ish watches under $200, drop me a link down below. Let me know so I can check it out as I prepare for next month. So that'll be in October. We'll be looking at those. With all that said, let's go ahead and jump into GMT watches, and we'll be looking at these. Again, this is a list that is going to also include some dual time watches, some world time watches, and some true GMT watches. So we'll go through all of those. So a little bit, kind of keep it loose. And yeah, let's go ahead and just jump into it, starting with our bronze recommendation. So bronze has to be $60 or less, and this is difficult for GMT watches. There's not a lot of great GMT watches that I could find at $60 or under. There's a lot of fashion watches, like you can get stuff from Acrobos and some of these other brands that have watches that are under $60. But a lot of the ones that I found in that kind of fashion watch category, they didn't look to be that high of quality. Some of them, the style was okay, but the quality didn't look like they would last. So this one, it is a fashion watch, but it looked like it's got a little bit better. So our bronze recommendation is the Lucien Piccard Talenti at $45. So this one has actually has a solid stainless steel case, which is great at this price range. It has a Miyota Japanese quartz movement that does have a dual time retrograde indicator at 6 o'clock, so it's kind of an interesting looking one. So it seems like a decent quality watch, especially at $45 to get a dual time functionality. And it's I think the best one that I could find under $60. The main problem with this watch is that it is a very large watch. It's kind of a dress watch style. This one's a little bit more sporty, so you can kind of forgive the size a little bit. But for me, this is kind of pushing it. It has a 44 millimeter case size, and it's listed at having a 24 millimeter band, which I really don't like that. I would have preferred them to do a 22 millimeter band, so you have more options for straps, because there's not a lot of 24 millimeter straps out there if you're looking to change it out. Still, for the price, to get an actual functioning dual time quartz watch, stainless steel case, I think it's a pretty good value. And so for our bronze recommendation, it's going to be that one. If you're willing to spend a little bit more than $60, we have some watches that are in the $75, $80 range that are a lot more interesting. But to keep it under the $60, I think this is one of the best you're going to find. Okay, let's move on to our silver recommendation, and that's going to be the Parnis GMT. Not this Parnis GMT. So Parnis is known for making a lot of Homage watches, and one of their most popular ones is an Homage of the Rolex GMT, but this one is not it. So if you're interested, you definitely also check that one out, because that's a great Rolex GMT Homage for the price. But the one that that I found, Parnis, they make a ton of different watches, and again, like almost exclusively Homages, but they have a lot of GMT options out there. And this one that I found is part of their Nordic collection. So this is the Parnis Nordic GMT. I'm not sure what it's an homage of. It has to be an homage of something because I don't think Parnis makes original designs. But it's a really nice looking dress watch style, very minimalist. You know, the Nordic is usually what they would term their kind of their Nomos homages. But I don't think this is a Nomos homage. I could be wrong. If you know what this is for, you know, drop me a comment and let me know. But it looks like it has a genuine GMT, you know, fourth hand. You've got the 24-hour scale going around the outer edge and just looks great. This is the one that I was probably the most interested in because I've really been interested in getting a Bauhaus watch, and I love GMT watches. So this is something that's very interesting. Price on this one. So you can find it on AliExpress for $76. And that one comes with a mineral crystal. If you go to parnis.org, they claim to be the official seller for Parnis watches. And they claim that if you buy directly from them, you get a higher quality watch than you would find on AliExpress and eBay. The prices are generally around twice as much as what you would pay. But in this case, you know, on the Parnis website, they are listing it as a sapphire crystal, whereas the AliExpress website is listing it as a mineral crystal. So if you want to spend a little bit more and get a sapphire crystal and a higher quality watch, you should check it out on parnis.org, but I'll leave links to both of those down below. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to our honorable mentions. And I always like to start with kind of our unofficial gold tier. I'm still tossing around exactly what to do. I think probably what's going to happen is next year, after we've gone through 12 consecutive months of Watch of the Month, I'll probably do it again with the same categories, but bump the price up, and we'll look at slightly more expensive watches. And maybe that's when we'll finally do an official gold tier. But for now, still unofficially, the best watch I think, or the most interesting one to me, at under $200. Is this Seiko World Time SPL 047, which you can pick up for $189. This one's really interesting. So, you know, it's got, you know, Seiko's good build quality. It's got 100-meter water resistance, a pretty solid looking stainless steel bracelet. But what most interested me is that World Time movement that it has inside. Actually, I think it's World Time and alarm. So you're getting 2 extra complications on there. And I think the way it works, I'm not 100% sure, but as near as I can tell, the way it works is it has that extra dual time subdial that actually displays a second time zone, and the second hand on it, what looks like a second hand, is actually an indicator for the world time. So it kind of looks like a chronograph. It's got these pushers, but I think you use those pushers to move that second hand needle around to point at different cities on the bezel, and as you do, then that local time subdial is supposed to automatically update to whatever time that needle is pointing to. So that's a really cool feature. It's a great way to have, you know, any time zone instantly at your fingertips and be able to look at it. Great travel feature, and then to throw in an alarm complication as well. Yeah, you're just getting a really great travel watch with that, and a really interesting way to do it. I haven't seen many watches at all put this kind of a package together, so good for Seiko for doing that, and that makes our gold, unofficial gold recommendation for this month. You'll notice there's a couple of watches that did not make it on this list, and if you are looking for a GMT watch under $200, I think your best option is actually the Citizen Nighthawk, which I've talked about way too many times on this channel, and I featured it on the Pilot's Watch segment already. So I try not to feature the same watch twice, but if you are looking for a GMT watch under $200, it'd be worth your time to check out that one, because I think that's probably one of your best options to get. I'll leave a link to a review of that I did, because I've reviewed that one twice. Another one that's not on this list that is, you know, another good one to consider is the Timex Intelligent Quartz chronograph. I think we featured that on our chronograph section, so that's why that one's not here, but that one actually has a dual time feature as well. So I'll put a link to the chronograph one so you can see those reviews. But yeah, definitely check those ones out, because I think those are, you know, other great options for GMT watches in this price range, and they definitely would have made this list if they haven't already been featured in previous lists. All right, let's go ahead and jump through the rest of them. We're going to start now. We're, again, looking at 10 total watches. So this is the fourth one we'll be looking at today. We're going to go from least expensive to most expensive on the list. And so the first one we'll be looking at now is the Wenger 79306C, which you can pick up for $78 from Amazon. This is one of my favorite quartz GMT watches. I haven't actually purchased it, but like just based on specs and looks. And I've had it in my Amazon wish list for over a year now and haven't actually pulled the trigger, but have come close many times, so definitely worth checking out. So Amazon has it listed as also having a sapphire crystal, which sounds too good to be true at this price. $78 for a Swiss quartz watch with a sapphire crystal and 100 meters of water resistance is pretty amazing. and it's a GMT watch on top of it. So it seems like almost too good to be true. But the downside to this one seems to be that the Amazon seller at least isn't getting the greatest reviews. A lot of people are complaining that the watches that they're getting from that particular seller are coming with dead batteries or having other problems. So I don't know if that's a problem with the watch itself, or if that seller just kind of got in some old stock and the batteries are run down on them, if it's an older model or what. But it's an amazing price for the specs and a really good looking watch. So if you can find a good place to get one, I think it's definitely worth your time checking out. You might check some other sellers as well and see what you can find. Okay, number 5 on our list today is the Vostok Komandirske GMT 650539. This one was recommended by Vince White down in the comments, so thanks for pointing this one out. I also saw Shane over at Relative Time do a review of this about a year ago. So I'll leave a link to his review as well. Yeah, you're getting a Russian-made in-house automatic movement with a GMT complication and a 200-meter water resistance. But it is a Vostok, which is both the greatest advantage and biggest downside of this watch too, because Vostoks can be pretty quirky, as a lot of people say. They've got a lot of kind of weird idiosyncrasies, so if it's your first watch or if you haven't had any experience with Vostok, probably good to do some research first, and that's why I definitely recommend you to check out Shane's video on this one if you want to get it. But you can pick it up for $76. Got a link to that down below. One other thing to note, it does have a polymer crystal or an acrylic crystal, so it's one of those ones that's going to scratch fairly easily but should be able to buff out. Moving on to number 6, and this is a brand that doesn't get featured too much on these lists, but I thought it'd be fun to throw one in. You can pick up a gigantic 48mm Invicta 6993 Pro Diver GMT. Pretty flashy, pretty blingy watch, but again, if you're looking at this category of more budget GMTs, I think Invicta is one that's worth checking out, and I thought it'd be fun to throw one of these in there. If you're an Invicta guy and you like the style, let me know down below. I have an appreciation for them, but I always feel like I can't quite pull it off. I know a lot of people absolutely hate Invictas, but it seems like they offer a pretty good value for the money. It's just their designs tend to be polarizing. And this one is probably going to fit in there as well. But this is a really big, really bold, but decently spec'd sub $100 GMT watch. So you're getting 100 meters of water resistance, pretty cool looking rubber strap with some gold accents on it and a nice gold and blue color scheme. Yeah, this is going to be love it or hate it, but that's going to make our number 6 recommendation for $85. It's hard to go wrong with picking up a Invicta Pro Diver there. Okay, next up, we're going to look at the Corguet. This is a Tudor Black Bay. It's a Black Bay, the Tudor GMT homage here. And I saw this one from Oleg over at 24 Hours of Time, did a review to this one. I'll drop a link to his below. This is kind of cool because, again, the Parnis GMT, the Rolex GMTs are pretty popular, and I think people see those more commonly, but this one is another good option to consider. It's got, it looks like exactly like a Tudor GMT. So if you're more into the Tudor Black Bay style than the Rolex GMT Master style, this would be one to check out. I had a hard time confirming the water resistance rating on this. At some places they were listing it at 200 meters, some places they were listing it at 100 meters, some places were saying it's 30 meters. So a little concerned about that, exactly what you're going to get there. Other than that, it seems like, for the price and the style, you're getting a pretty decently spec'd watch. You're getting nice, getting an automatic movement, sapphire crystal, and a GMT hand. And it looks like a Tudor. So yeah, good one, another good one to look. Moving on to number 8 on our list, we're checking out the Timex Allied 3 GMT. This is one that I think Timex has had a couple of iterations of. I think the first time I saw it was under $100. And for this current version that's out now, it's closer to 200, which to me, I feel like is pushing it a little bit. I found a couple of places where you can pick it up for 179. I think Mark over at Long Island Watch is selling it on his site for 179. But it's a pretty cool GMT watch. It's a Timex, and this one is capable of displaying 3 time zones. Yeah, so I think this is a fun one, especially if you're a Timex fan. Price might be pushing it a little bit for what you're getting. Again, $179 for a quartz GMT from Timex. I don't know if I'm willing to pay that or not, but you might be, and it's definitely one worth checking out. Number 9 on the list is the Torgoen T9, which you can pick up from Torgoen's website, or you can pick it up from Amazon. Either place, it's around $189. They're also do the thing where if you go on their website, you can pay more and get a sapphire crystal. So at this $189 price, you're getting a mineral crystal. But if you want a sapphire, I think it's like 20 or 30 bucks extra on their website, and you can order with that. Torgoen's a really cool aviation style watch brand, and I really like their designs. They have kind of, they're very much tool watches, with high legibility, meant to be modern style pilot watches, but they do have a very modern design. But yeah, very bold, very legible, a little bit on the larger side, but this T9 is their entry level one. It's a GMT watch, and you can pick it up. Yeah, again, 189 bucks. Yeah, really cool looking watch. Last watch on our list is the Redstar dual time automatic watch, and this is another one. I went over and checked out Long Island Watch to see what GMT options they have, because Mark curates a pretty interesting collection of watches to sell on his site. A lot of them are watches that you wouldn't think of normally, so I wanted to see what dual time or GMT watches he had under $200. This is one that I found was most interesting. It's a Chinese brand, but it basically just has 2 watch faces on it. So it's got 2 dials, 2 sub-dials that each are displaying a separate time zone. They're both loomed, and it runs a Seagull automatic movement in there. A little bit on the large side, 45 millimeters diameter and 15 millimeters thick, so it's kind of a chunky watch, but it's very unique looking. Pretty good lume on it as well, so definitely an interesting one to check out, also at $200. So with all that said, that's going to wrap up our Watch of the Month Club list for this month. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any personal experience with any of these watches. Let me know what your favorite one on the list is, and definitely let me know of what your favorite square or square-ish watches are at under $200 price range. Drop me some links, and we'll use that to kind of consider our list for the for next month. And we'll see you guys then. Talk to you later. Bye.